Welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk. We're here in the Istanbul office of Property Turkey with Cameron Diggin. And as you might have seen, we have changed our studio layout. We have this spaceship like platform on which we stand. And in the upcoming episodes, you will be seeing more changes around here in the cosmetics
This
and
is work
stuff.
in progress.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
not final yet.
Yeah, it's
But
a
we
work
couldn't
in
wait.
progress.
We had to do an episode.
Yeah,
so.
true. We couldn't wait to do an episode of Straight Talk about coronavirus. Every business around the world, people are talking about coronavirus. Everybody's touching on coronavirus. And we as Property Turkey wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about coronavirus and especially its effects on the Turkish real estate.
Absolutely.
Okay, Cameron Diggin, shall we spend a couple of minutes on how Turkey has dealt and is currently dealing with coronavirus right now before moving to the real estate, its effects on real estate?
I think that's a good idea. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you think Turkey has managed the situation?
In a nutshell, I'd say Turkey has managed the situation rather well.
Yeah.
Of course, when we are considering how something is managed, whether it's coronavirus or anything else, or it could be elections or whatever, we need to put it into context. And the best way to put things into context is by comparison. So if we compare how Turkey managed the coronavirus situation, so let's say to comparable countries, let's say in Europe, let's take 4 European countries as comparisons for today's session. Let's say Spain, Italy, France, and the UK. In terms of size and population, they're the most comparable countries to Turkey. If we compare how Turkey managed the coronavirus situation to those countries, certainly Turkey seems to have managed the situation much better.
Quite well, yeah.
Much better.
I mean,
all those countries.
We can, if we take a look, if we take a glimpse at the death rates in those countries, the mortality rate, we can definitely understand how good Turkey has managed the situation. True. Because currently it's 2.8% here in Turkey, and it's 15% in France, 14% in Italy, 12% in Spain, and these are the latest figures. And I don't know when you will be watching this video, but by then the figures might have been changed, hopefully to good.
Hopefully for better.
Yeah, but we are seeing a clear distinction here.
Definitely.
Is Turkish healthcare to be praised here?
Well, certainly we owe this difference to a robust health sector in Turkey. This is a sector that Turkey has been investing in for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
And Turkey has in fact been investing in its health sector quite heavily. And they have taken some good measures in improving the health services and making the health sector very accessible to everybody in the country. The bed capacity compared to Europe is much higher. And we were able, right, if you remember, as early as end of first week in March, when the first cases started popping up in Turkey, if you remember, we were able to galvanize upsides of 40,000 healthcare workers overnight in Turkey. Do you remember? When countries like Italy and Spain, they were also they had just begun struggling at the time. When they were being stretched, Turkey, with just a call, was able to galvanize upsides of 40,000 people into the health sector.
True, and I think Turkey's advantage here was acting early, being proactive in this situation by taking measures very early. I mean, Turkey has initiated measures locking down people over 65 and people under 20 at home.
Very important measures.
This has nothing to do with healthcare. This is just
that was a smart move.
This is just a smart move.
They locked down under 20s and over 65s. Why? Because over 65s are the most vulnerable. And under 20s are the most active. So they basically...
And plus, they don't have schools right now.
Schools are off, so they don't have schools. So they'd be out there mingling, and they'd be at high risk of catching the infection and then
spreading it
to the elderly. So by locking the above 65s and under 20s, they kind of managed the elderly infection. They managed to minimize the elderly infection, which certainly had a massive impact on the low mortality rate. Of course, we have to give credit, well, not credit, but we have to certainly attribute the low mortality rate to a very young population too, because the average age in Turkey compared to, say, Italy, UK is much lower.
Yeah.
So that also played a part, but the health serves big credit to
the health
services.
Yeah, I mean, these things that are happening in Turkey are not going unnoticed. Are you seeing a significant increase in the interest towards Turkey?
Let me put it this way: around February time, we had on average 5,000 daily visitors to our website.
Yeah.
And as you know, our website, propertyturkey.com, kind of is the pulse of the Turkish real estate market. We had around 5,000 visitors. Today, we have around 7,000 daily visitors to our website, which is an increase of 40%.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's an increase of 40%.
Exactly 40%.
Exactly 40%. Now, I would, of course, expect our website's visitors to gradually increase, but I wouldn't expect it to increase by 40% over such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I think this is attributable to the COVID effect. And if you ask me why, it's very simple. One, Turkey all of a sudden is looking like a much better place to raise your children.
Yeah.
A safer place to live. Certainly the healthcare Turkey has come out looking very well in terms of its health services, which is a very, very important consideration for investors looking for a place to move to, a place to retire to. And also, there's another massive important factor, which may not be readily visible or apparent.
What is it?
Tax effect.
The taxation.
The taxation effect. Again, if we compare the same four European countries, Spain, Italy, France, and the UK, if we compare them as the Eurozone, let's look at them as the Eurozone, and you compare it to Turkey, the overall taxation that a real estate investor would analyze is significantly lower in Turkey than the Eurozone.
Yeah.
Significantly lower. And the thing is, the expectation is, and especially high net worth individuals are too aware of this because this is something they consider on a daily basis. The expectation is that post-COVID-19, the Eurozone, and certainly the United States too, will slap on rather heavy taxes in order to
restore the economy.
Well, restore the economy, and in order to recuperate the
Trillions
expense that they had to incur as the austerity measures due to COVID-19. So there will be some heavy taxes to come. It's unavoidable. Now, taxation, which is already more favorable in Turkey for real estate investors, going forward will only become more favorable.
Okay, let me ask you a question here.
Let
me ask you a question here. Yeah. Let me ask you a question here. So you said that Europe is likely to raise taxes to restore its economy, and this would target some high net worth individuals who are aware of this situation and who are currently looking for alternatives, and thus you have that 40% increase on our website. They're looking at Turkish real estate investment. So my question is, Turkish economy has got a hit.
Of course.
Just like any other country
Turkish
around
economy
the world.
is not immune.
Yeah, Turkish economy is not immune. It is as fragile, if not more, as the European economy. So here's my question: isn't Turkey then likely to increase taxes?
Okay, traditionally speaking, Turkish government does not rely so much on direct taxation in order to collect funds.
Yeah.
If you look at Western economies, the impact of direct taxation is much higher. Yeah. Why? Well, I can go into explaining the economic reasons, which I'm not, but very briefly to say that, say in the UK or in the US, if you increase direct taxation by, say, 1 percentage point, the impact of that is going to be a lot higher than increasing direct taxation by the same amount in Turkey.
Yeah.
The government is not likely to rely so much on direct taxation. The government impact, traditionally in Turkey, does not rely so much on taxation to make up the differences, such as the COVID-19
it's not
difference.
the Turkish way.
It's not the Turkish
It's not the Turkish way.
So Turkey is not likely
to raise any taxes.
Taxation because they're well aware.
Because that backfires in Turkey.
They're well aware that it would deter foreign direct investment.
True.
So foreign direct investment is very important for Turkey. So taxes will stay put.
Yeah.
In the foreseeable future.
And when we're talking about taxes, let's make one thing clear here. What are those taxes? What are we talking about?
What are the important taxes, category of taxes that real estate investors would be looking at?
Yeah.
Well, broadly speaking, there are six different types of taxes. Purchase tax, which is also known as stamp duty. Capital gains tax, which is the tax on the profits that you make when you sell real estate. Income tax, which is the tax on rental income or other operational income of owning real estate. Real estate ownership tax, which is the ongoing biannual or annual taxes that you would pay for owning real estate. Inheritance tax, which is a very, very important tax. And value added tax.
The VAT.
KDV in Turkey, as they call it, the VAT. These are the main tax categories that tend to be quite universal.
So here's my question. When you compare those taxes, for example, you said capital gains tax. When you compare it to the taxes in, let's say, Turkey's Mediterranean competitors, as I like to call them,
say Spain, Italy,
France,
etc.
and Italy, how do they compare?
Turkey has got at least a 3 to 6 percentage point advantage. Plus, if you own real estate in Turkey, after 5 years of ownership, if you sell, there is no capital gains tax to pay. So that's an amazing law. So you can look at real estate investment as a 0 to 5 year project and sell after 5 years with absolutely no capital gains tax payable, which is a sharp contrast to the Eurozone. Which is kind of unique. Yeah, which is unique, which kind of encourages real estate investors for medium-term holding. It basically tries to discourage real estate investors from short-term speculative holding, which I totally agree with. Real estate should not really be seen as a speculative investment. It should be seen more as a mid to long-term investment. So it kind of rewards mid to long-term holding by negating capital gains tax completely.
So when we're talking about taxes in Turkey, and you say that the taxes in Turkey are far more advantageous than the taxes in the EU, figures-wise, what are we talking about here? How much of a margin are we talking about here?
Let's look at it this way.
Okay.
You're an investor, for overseas investor. You invest today. You collect rental income over 5 years from your investments.
Sure.
And after 5 years, you exit the markets. You do the exact same thing with the same amount of money in Turkey, in Spain, in Italy, in France, and in the UK. In Turkey, you will be no less than 6 to 8% better off. No less than 6 to 8% better off.
That's a significant amount.
That's a significant amount. In fact, if you compare it to France, you will be about 15% better off.
15% better off.
Because in France, depending on the value of the property, but the average annual ownership tax is about 5 point something percent per annum, whereas in Turkey, it's less than 1%. It's in fact about 0.5%. So if you
which
own
is
a property,
negligible.
which is hardly anything. So if you own a property worth, say, for argument's sake, $100,000, you will pay less than $500 per annum, per year, as property ownership tax. The same figure in France will be something like 3,000, 4,000, in fact, higher dollars per annum.
Wow.
The difference is massive. And over a period of 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
it clocks up.
Yeah.
And also, when you sell, you will end up paying quite a significant amount as a capital gains tax, assuming that you have made a hefty profit.
Yeah.
Whereas in Turkey, you will not pay any capital gains tax after 5 years.
If it's after 5 years.
If it's after 5 years. So overall, Turkey is far more tax friendly than the Eurozone.
True.
In fact, overall, the Turkish government is rather foreign investor friendly.
True.
And investors are kind of waking up to this.
True.
Coupled with the lifestyle benefits, a great health service, proven now.
Yeah.
Fantastic weather.
Oh my God!
And all the other things that people already knew.
Yeah.
It's kind of making
Turkey's
Turkey
looking
a very
good.
attractive.
Turkey's looking
place.
good for investors. Yeah.
Very attractive.
Yeah. To summarize it all up, because we've talked about a bunch of stuff.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
We talked about a lot of stuff. To summarize this thing, based on the increase of the inquiries that we are getting, we might say that there's at least 40% increase of demand to Turkish real estate, and this shows only, and this is only because that the Turkey is coming out almost victorious out of COVID-19. It seems like Turkey's star will shine after the post-COVID era. Won't you say?
I think so. I mean, I think Turkey is looking from a financial viewpoint, which is the taxation, which is an important part of. Turkey looks very attractive.
Yeah.
But from a lifestyle aspect, a place to raise your children, a place to live, a place to enjoy, a place to be
stay
safe
alive
and healthy,
Turkey
all of a sudden looks like the shining star.
Yeah, true.
At the gateways of Europe,
yeah.
Middle East, Asia, and Africa. And that's, I think, the most important role for Turkey.
Yeah.
To be the gateway, to be the middle of.
Yeah.
And I think that's a role that for the past 10, 15 years kind of slipped away from Turkey a little bit. Turkey, in my opinion, did not really play its own role as robustly as it should have.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that going forward, all of a sudden, Turkey will regain its position as the center of Europe, Middle East, and Asia, which means that it will be very appealing for Europeans, Middle Easterners, and Asians, which is the melting pot.
True. And that's what Turkey really is. I mean, look at Istanbul. You just take a ferry in 15 minutes, you change a continent.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's this stark reality right in front of your eyes every single day. Okay. Thank you very much, Cameron Diggin, for this episode. And also, if you have any questions, comment them down below. I personally read them. So does Cameron. We are very, very reachable people. In fact, you can send us a message, a WhatsApp message in this number right here.
24/7.
Yeah, 24/7. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to text you back 24/7.
Not 1 a.m. in the morning, but we will text you back the next day.
The next day, make sure that we will read your text messages. And until next time, see ya.
Bye-bye.